Pretty loud.
Yep.
It's hard to believe that many different noises such as that and different variations have been used by several different cultures throughout all time to just mean very different things. I'm going to be talking about drums today. Drums and percussion. Percussion meaning just pretty much banging some things together. Not necessarily drums, but any piano is a percussion instrument, and just many different things they can bang together to mean different things. Personally, as you can tell from my first presentation, I remember that I talked about being a drummer, and so personally, me, I've been drumming for 6 years. I've done so many different things with drums. So it's not something I just studied for the past 2 weeks. It's actually something that I live, and I've taken several courses in college and high school. So you can say I know what's up about drums. Many of you have heard music, I'm sure, one time or another. If you're not like a fan of music, maybe you heard it on the way over here or whatever. And just the drums and percussion are just the basis of music. That's what keeps the beat. That's what it's the foundation of just music in general. Today I'll be talking about pretty much how drums started. The history of drums pretty much. The history of the drum set, which this belongs to or can belong to, and just how can you be successful with drumming. Okay, so let's begin with the beginning of drums. According to Bill Miligari, who happens to be not only is he's been drumming for 30 years and been studying it for 30 years, he's also the student of this man right here, Joe Morello, and he's known as just like throughout the world as being like one of just a great drummer, a little off topic, but just so you know that Bill Miligari has studied with that guy. And he tells us in his site that he's found that drums and percussion in general have been found in almost every single culture that's existed almost since before 6000 BC. Before then, although there's been several drums that have been like excavated or whatever and found, like I said, percussion is pretty much just banging two things together. So they're used for many different things. For example, you can they're used for different things, not just music, for gatherings or maybe something like that, but there was also like, for example, if there was like a village somewhere, you couldn't just be like, get your stuff on and be like, oh, hey dude, come over here. No, that's, stuff was in exist. They had to actually, just bang certain things together, maybe come up with certain rudiments. Rudiments are just patterns, to signify different things. Also, this particular drum right here is a snare drum. And they're used pretty much, first it was originated as the tabor, which was used in the 1300s in medieval Europe. That started being used more for like military sense and stuff in the Ottoman Empire in the 1500s. And finally, the Swiss Army, I'm not sure when, they're actually the ones that really started using it for like, for like marching band in the army, like maybe they're marching into battle and using those things. They're the ones that actually started to fine-tune everything, get the lugs right here to give it that perfect pitch that you're looking for. The resonant head, and these things right here are actually called snares, which give it that, let me see what. Without it, many drums sound like this, and when you snap on the snares, bam, gives it that, sound, whatever. And then also, those aren't just the only kinds of drums that are around. Also in Brazil, which is like one of the most, I guess, percussion influenced countries in the entire, they're awesome. They don't have just snares. They have like congas, timbales, bongos, just all sorts of drums really. And all those drums were just made by many different things. At first, these were like sheepskin, and there's metal drums, there's mahogany drums. Nowadays, we even have like acrylic drums, and which is just all sorts of different kinds of materials. So now that you know some about the history of drums, let's talk about what mostly everyone knows probably, which is the drum set, which that baby belongs to right there. In the 1930s, people would use drums, but they would use more like, in music, just several percussion people to just do one thing, right? Just to keep the beat, to add little emphasis on certain parts or whatever. So they started thinking, hey man, maybe I guess, it was a financial situation, maybe they didn't want to pay that many people that much money to play. So they said, hey man, let's just get it together and put, maybe add let's just make it so one person can use it. So enter like the bass drum, which I can't bring the whole thing, but the bass drum, which you kick right here. Standard drum set would include 2 toms, which we give like all that stuff, cymbals, and just let's start relying on one guy in the in the 1950s. That's when rock music started showing up, and that's when people really started excelling in the art of drumming. People like soon to come people like Keith Moon, those guys, John Bonham, those guys, those are in the 70s, but still like. Those guys were just going to town on the drums, you know what I'm saying? Those guys were going crazy. It created a whole new, the drums became something else entirely, And nowadays we even have electronic drums, which, for instance, you could, you don't have to do, like I said earlier, the lugs to tune them, to make them a specific pitch or sound or whatever. Now with electronic drums, you pretty much could just set it to whatever you want. I mean, if you want to drill in a song, you could be like, doom, da. Doom, 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 doom. There's just so many different sounds that you can incorporate into a drum set. So, now you're probably thinking, okay, dude, so I know the history, and I know what a drum set is. I guess what does that mean to me? Well, you can be very successful in being a drummer. Let's see. For example, there's a guy named, he's like internet sensation. You guys might not have heard of it unless you're a drummer, but his name is Mike Johnston, and that man. Pretty much, he's a great drummer, and he found a way to just promote himself via YouTube, and his story is that he's been drumming forever. He's recorded bands, he's been played in bands all over the world. But what he decided to do is that he started his own like school of drums, so to say, and he used his talent and promoted it throughout the internet. So many people all over the globe are just coming to that specific school, just by drumming, just by doing what he likes to do. He's getting shipped to different countries just because people want to see him. They're paying him to go pretty much do what I'm doing right now, just drumming, just people just watch him, and he gets money for that. Also, I mean, you could there's an article on Modern Drummer, not this one right here, but several that it talks about 12 ways of making money just by drumming. One of those ways would be drum repair, which pretty much speaks for itself. Drumming in several bands, like I said, if you're good enough, people will pay you just to do what you want to do, Like personally, I haven't been paid money, but like people have bought me gear, they bought me food, they bought me like for instance, gas to get to places. They have over here. Here you go, man. Oh, that's my first song. And you could be a private drum instructor, like Mike Johnson did. He has his own school for that. You could be a drum tech while bands are on the road. Maybe the drummer wants someone to look after his set or whatever while he's getting drunk or something, and to make sure it's up to par and it's good to go. You could be a clinician, like I said, Mike Johnson, another example, or the same example, where he gets paid to just perform, pretty much. You could be a percussion judge, which means you could go to drum competitions and just judge and get money for that. You could be an author in a drum magazine, like I said, Modern Drummer, one of the best. If you know what you're doing, people want to read what you know. You know what I'm saying? And there's several different kinds, really. So just the history of the drums, how drums can make you successful, and just the drum set itself. There's so much that it has influence in our society. You might not even know. Like I said, everyone's a music lover, but without that foundation, without that backbone, there might not even be music. Like probably will, but not that good. The drums roll. And personally, me, like I said, it's taken me so many different places. I've seen so many different things. I've networked with so many different drummers, and I've met so many different people. And it's not so much for me. So maybe with a little bit of patience, some practice, you guys would be able to experience some of that as well. My happiness, I guess, so to say. And every other place you have fingernails.